minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. You know, one of the driving forces behind why people are supporting anybody for any office is jobs. You know that?
Yeah.
I mean, people really look at their own livelihoods, their own ways of making it in this world, and they say, what can this person who wants my vote do to make my life a little bit easier? I really think that is really probably the key thing. And so politicians will say, we're going to get more jobs. We're going to get more jobs. And then there's this big cry that says, well, wait a minute, we have to do something about the fact that the middle class is disappearing. We have class warfare, they call it, right? The upper class, the people with money, and then the people who are basically working for them and nobody in between, which that's not completely true, but it's becoming more true all the time. Mm-hmm. What do you do about it? And especially when you know, I believe in capitalism. I believe it makes sense. And when I say I believe in capitalism, for those of you who don't like that sentence, mm-hmm. let me just explain what I mean by it. I simply mean this: that you either make a product and sell it for a profit, or you buy a product and sell it for a profit, or you offer a service.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, after cleaning or writing a song or whatever it is you do, you have made more money than you started out with, because that's the way it works, right? Mm-hmm. Well, our next guests have maybe an idea that we haven't thought about before, and they've written a book about it called The Third Way. They are, forgive me guys if I'm mispronouncing your names, Veny M. Musum and Upendra Chivukula. Let's say hello to them. Mr. Musum is the Senior Vice President of Paul Mitchell Systems, a real estate and equity investor. He serves on the Bernards Township Republican County Committee. And Mr. Chivukula is a commissioner to the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities. He was nominated by Governor Chris Christie, by the way, and an electronic engineer, and it goes on and on and on. Both guys have a lot of credentials. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good morning, Larry.
Good,
How are you?
thank you.
Retired senior vice president. Now I write books.
All right. Where are you? Are you guys both in New Jersey? Where are you?
Yes.
New Jersey, yeah, right.
Okay, all right. So what is the new way? What is the third way?
Well, Larry, I've come to the conclusion that sadly that it seems like most of the rich in the media, present company excluded, and our politicians, it seems like they want to just keep people stupid, because all this discussion of the minimum wage and things like that, the money is not in the minimum wage. It affects 2% of the population. The big money is in capital wealth. Most people don't even know what it is, and most people don't own it. Capital wealth is where you own something. You own real estate, stocks, bonds. You own part of the corporation. That's where the money is. I mean, does anyone think Donald Trump is punching a clock? But our idea is to have more broad-based capital ownership, so that people can share in the wealth, especially in the places where they work. It's just common sense.
Okay. Well, and I mean, that seems to be the American way. That's what we've done in the past. We would, I know some families here who are not from America. They're from India, and they have 7 members in their family, the one I'm thinking of, and they purchased a store like 20 years ago. And they all worked that store. It was like a convenience store, and they made it into a deli. They made it into everything. But anyway, then they grew from there, and they took capitalism and they worked it to their advantage. And now they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I think capitalism works. Unlike socialism, only thing is that capitalism is not fair because wealth is concentrated in the top 1% of the people, and we want to see how we can make to make it to inclusive capitalism from concentrated capitalism. One astonishing statistic is that 50% of Americans who live in the greatest country in the world own zero capital. And so what we are talking about in this book, the thirdwaybook.com is our website, is that we, in addition to labor wages, labor is proportional to the number of hours you can work. You also need to plan for capital wealth, which is the stocks, bonds, anything that can produce capital and that can really create wealth. And one way you can achieve that is the employee incentivized employer can provide ownership, profit or equity ownership to their employees. That way, they can, in addition to their labor income, they can also accumulate some capital income, and that is a very important point in this book.
Okay, but couldn't they do that already anyway? If it was a publicly traded company, couldn't they already buy a stock in it?
Yeah, they're doing it. About 10,000 companies, and you have 15 million people are benefiting from that. What the idea is that we have the highest corporate tax rate in the world, 35%, and Congress constantly talks about tax reform. And what we are suggesting in our book is that we want to see that not only 15 million people, but we want to see 150 million people through tax incentives and tax credits. Employers will be incentivized to create those programs for their employees, profit sharing or equity sharing. And there are already companies that do that. Whether you have the Silicon Valley was built on that. You have, Procter & Gamble, and you have Quality Foods, Whole Foods, and number of companies that they're doing that. But we want to see how we can make it much broader appeal.
Okay, so you have examples of it working.
Oh, yes,
Right.
yes.
It is already.
Yes. Yes, Larry. There's research been done that over 100 years of data shows not only is it good for the workers, but that the companies are much more successful. This idea has been proven to work over and over and over again. I mean, all the millionaires and billionaires in the world listening now already know about this idea. They know that capital wealth is the future. Brookings, for example, did a report showing that 86% of all capital wealth and capital income was going to the top 20%. Tells you that leaves only 14% for the entire bottom 80%. That's what's driving inequality. The top 1% income by CBO has gone up 275%, but the average person is flattered down because they don't own capital income wealth. No one's talking about it, thank God, because that's what people have to understand, where the money is and how to get in on it.
Okay.
But isn't that the fault of the a person that's not owning their own business or working for a profit-sharing company, that they're just happy working for somebody else and they don't have any incentive to own their own business and move up the ladder?
Well, I think there are some people who are innovative, entrepreneurial, and not everybody is like that. When people are working for somebody, and they're incentivized through some ownership, they tend to become harder workers, smarter workers. For example, when was the last time you took your rental car for a car wash? So ownership does the magic. Ownership does magic. People have to have a piece of the action.
All right.
That is the important thing.
The book is The Third Way. The website is thethirdwaybook.com. And I believe third is 3RD, so it's the numerical 3 and then RD, thethirdwaybook.com. Veny, Musum, and Upendra Chivukula. Again, I apologize for messing up on your names. Thank you so much for being on the air. I'm going to look at this book. I'm looking forward to finding out what you're talking about. Thank you, guys.
It's the only way.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. Donald Trump holds rallies in the battleground state of Florida today, where early voting has just begun, while Hillary Clinton campaigns in New Hampshire. Over the weekend,
Clinton again called Donald Trump unqualified to be president.
To say you won't respect the results of the election, that is a direct threat to our democracy.
The Trump campaign says it's too premature to count him out.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland. Federal safety officials arriving at the scene near Palm Springs, where a tour bus slammed into a semi-truck, killing 13 and injuring 31. Sheila Ashley knew the bus driver who died.
First thing I thought is